sing a happy song together, and we'll all be a happy family.
Hi, welcome back. So looking at this little TV set, really something that I thought I would tackle just to make a video on it. I'm sort of looking at each little board piece by piece using the microscope here, but since it's possibly something related to this part of the circuit, it's where I'm going to start looking. I've already looked at the buttons, the board with the control buttons on. So if I come down and look at the actual thing, there's this board here which has just got the buttons on and resistors, and I've checked through that. They're those sort of push button, little pop button things, and I have seen other YouTubers say don't douse it with isopropyl, which is my instinct would say, yeah, clean it with that, but apparently it can ruin them. So I've left the switches alone. I just checked them all, and everything seems clean and it seems to work okay. Checked through it with a meter, and the one I was looking at on a microscope is this little board here, which has got an LED which can show red or green, and the infrared detector works from the remote. There's a capacitor on there, but there's also this, I presume it's just glue, but it could be conductive, which is again what I was looking up here. It does look, it's all over that capacitor there, and maybe it's something that could be affecting that. So that could cause spurious stuff to come up on the circuit that detects the remote. So my next step would be to check over this little tiny board first before I move on to anything more complex. The way the set is constructed is it has a display which is tucked away over there out the way, which I'm leaving well alone, connected by a ribbon cable onto here. Then in here we've got this board, which I mentioned before, that goes between the main board and the display. I don't think there's any problems there, so I'll be leaving those alone. And this, of course, is the main board of the TV, which is just held in by two screws, so it's very easy to get at, and it's all connected by plugs, presumably with the idea that board swapping could be undertaken if it went back under warranty or something. So yeah, I'll check here first. The other thing will be to get the dreaded huge heavy oscilloscope out, so I can look at supply rails and make sure they're clean, not a lot of glitches or noise on them. And I'll be getting into looking at the solder joints, reflowing any that look like they could be dry joints. The other thing that may happen is there may be a dodgy capacitor, of course, although it's not hugely old. I mean, it's coming up to about 14 years old, so I wouldn't have thought there would be too much degradation of components. It is extremely small. This is real tiny surface mount, a lot of this. Be very hard for me to work on. Yeah, I can see it with the microscope, but I'm not used to doing any of this kind of stuff. But what I can do is find out what the chips are, especially the ones that are connected to this. Find out what they do, see if I can find any data on the chips, and then I can check the voltage rails going to them for integrity, and any capacitors that might be associated with that. I mean, these capacitors could be checked. They're not bulged. It might look a bit like that on the picture, but they're not. But I could certainly test one or two capacitors in the associated area and see if they're good. But I'm not really expecting them to be bad. And I can't see any domed capacitors or any obvious leaking. There seems to be quite a bit of flux around in places, which is just what I think it is. I think it's just flux. But a good clean of the board, I think, with isopropyl, even though it doesn't look dirty, there could be conductive muck on parts of it, which would cause problems as well. But yeah, it's basically just a checking over. And it's not going to be a terribly exciting thing to film, because I will be just looking for dry joints, and if I find anything really specific and really interesting, then I'll make a film on that. But I thought I'd better follow this project up rather than just leave it as it was, because I suppose some people will be wondering what happened with it. Well, I don't get a lot of chance to work on these things, but when I'm not doing other things, I'll give it a few minutes. And so today I'm just going to be looking more at this, make sure it's clean, make sure it's not conductive, checking the components on it. Once I'm satisfied that I can't find anything there, then I'll trace back up the connection from there, which goes into here, and I think it's down this end, and it may well be these associated components here are worth a look. Are the joints onto those chips good? Can I look up some data? Can I check the voltages? So that's the sort of thing I'm doing at the moment. So I thought I'd just give that little update, and then I'll just knuckle down and get on with it. And say if I find anything, I'll come back. If not, it'll be a matter of reassembling it, testing it, and see if it still does what it did before. Okay, well, I'll leave it at that, and I'll catch you in the next one, and bye for now.
Sing a happy song together, fill the air with harmony. Sing a happy song together, that's the song to choose. For pushing away the blues, keep the heartstrings running, there's a good time coming. It will keep on humming a melody. Sing a happy song together, and we'll all be a happy family.